Today's episode is proudly sponsored and brought to you by our good friends over at Pet Matrix Premium Canine Supplements. Straight Up Dog Talk is so excited to be partnered with Pet Matrix and jump into their family. After exhausting several other pet supplement brands, I am getting the support and results I have been searching for both Toby and Fitz. Pet Matrix supports all three pillars of canine wellness using their Cell Matrix delivery. It delivers nutrition directly into the cell. If you're looking for a supplement that pairs with nature and science, look no further and get your dog on Pet Matrix today. This stuff works, period. Welcome to Straight Up Dog Talk. I'm Em, and we are back again this week with another amazing guest. This week we have Pet Matrix again, but we have Will this time, who is the other co-founder and CEO of Pet Matrix, and he's going to give us a little bit of the behind the scenes. We're not going to talk about the product so much today, maybe a little bit, but we're going to talk about small businesses, what it's like to run a small business, and the crazy amount of things that Pet Matrix has been through in the last 2 years since we've started working with them. So welcome, Will. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me, Emily. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we love our Pet Matrix. We are a very firm standing Pet Matrix household. Now that I'm training dogs, I feel like I talk about Pet Matrix even more between the podcast and Instagram, and then talking to training clients. People always want to know nutrition and health and supplements. And I'm like, there's only one way to go, and that is Pet Matrix. So we're very, very strong supporters of Pet Matrix in this household. It has made such a huge difference, especially my little dog, Toby. He has pancreatitis, and Protect was game changer for us. Once he started on that Protect, he did not have a single flare up for a year and a half, which was incredible. And I love to be able to tell people that and say, I strongly support this product because it helped so much. And I can see Move was also a huge one for him because he's 13 or 14 years old, and arthritis and aging and all of those things. He had stopped jumping up on the couch and jumping up on the bed. Once he started on Move, those things changed and he was jumping up again. It was like he was a young pup all over again.
It's just music to my ears. We can't hear enough of that, whether it's through online reviews or email conversations that we have. I know we're on here talking about small business. Guess who runs the customer service? The three founders, myself, my wife Summer, and Tanisha, and we're the ones answering customer service. It's so important for a business owner to understand their customers' wants, their needs, their frustrations, their victories. So we're literally in our third year of business now. We still, every time somebody tells us the real life results that they're getting, that we know, we have our own dogs and they had their own issues, and we've brought them back to life through our products, our amazing delivery system of Cell Matrix delivery, CMD. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy because I know personally that they say happy wife, happy life. Well, a happy, healthy dog in the house, they will set the entire mood for the house. And it's an integral part to a happy household.
It really, really is. And it's just so amazing that you guys can bring that to so many people on such a large scale. But also the fact that you guys are so involved with your social media and you guys are responding. You're not hiring people to respond. You guys are responding. That's something that's really important to me. Something that I do for the podcast and for the dog training. Obviously, it's just me. I'm a one-woman show all the time. I think that customer service and that connection with the followers and the listeners is so, so, so important. It's kind of sacred almost. And if you don't go through all of those stages of your business, as a business owner, I feel like you miss part of that value and part of that connection with your customer.
Yeah, and especially in our business, we are coming into your home. We are connecting with you. We are being trusted by people with one of the most important, valuable items in their home, their dog. So we take that very seriously. Having and understanding the customer and getting into how we can continue to help their dog stay healthy is of vital importance. And, I'm going to say this, through 3 years, we've tried. We tried to hire a social media company to interact with our customers so we could continue our future thinking of our business and move forward. When you look at what the roles of a CEO really are, and they all revolve around the vision. If you're a CEO of a small business and all you're doing is focusing on the vision, you're going to fail as a business, because it's all of those little intricacies to the business, the dotting the I's, the crossing the T's, the talking to your customers, being involved in the manufacturing and the processes, everything. That's what will give your business the best opportunity to be successful, because even you could do all the right things and at the end of the day, your business could still fail. Right? We've really gone through that and growing pains and having to fire social media companies and really understanding at the end of the day that no one is going to care as much about the customers as us, the owners and founders. When I tell you how much we care for your dog, you might say you can't even be close to how much you do. I'm telling you, we do. We care about all of these dogs that are out there, and we try and find results. And I know, Tanisha, our director of education, takes an extreme amount of pride in diving into what's really going on with your dog, not just throwing supplements at your dog. That's a big problem in our industry.
It's a huge problem.
Huge problem. And it stems from the top. I don't know if you've noticed, we don't spend a whole lot of money on marketing. We really are a grassroots kind of swell of a company and have a following of people who are loyal to the brand because the brand works. And that's really what we pride ourselves in. And understanding all the nuances has been a joy. It has been a pain. It has caused a lot of strife and arguments among founders, but none of us would tell you anything other than this has been the most growth that any of us have ever really experienced as entrepreneurs, as people, as dog owners. And so what we do as a company, we really pass down to the customer.
You really do joke that I would love to hire a social media manager, because I just hate social media so much because of all the misinformation and miseducation. We can only do our small part as our account. We can't fix all of the other accounts, right? I spoke to Tanisha about the social media marketing thing because you guys were going through the whole thing, and she was telling me a little bit about it, and she was like, don't do it, because it takes away from your authentic voice. You are you, and nobody else is going to say the things that you say the way that you say them and represent you the way that you are, because you're you and you are your brand. And that's where we had our hiccups. That's where we made our mistake, and we learned the hard way. So don't do it. And I was like, oh, well, that's great advice. I think it's great that we can come together and learn from each other, not just about our dogs and their health, but also our experiences with businesses and learning how to grow our businesses and manage our businesses and what the ups and downs as our experiences may be. And maybe we're not all in the same industry, but right now, the way that the world works, a lot of it focuses through social media. It focuses through things like podcasts. It focuses through things like word of mouth. And so you really do have to have people that feel very strongly about what you do and how much they like it, because those are your champions, right? I know some of our best listeners, our most returned frequent listeners, are out there saying, oh my gosh, listen to this episode, or, oh, hey, you need to listen to this podcast. Those are the people that I have an unfounded amount of appreciation for, because they push us and they make us better and they support us, and that kind of bolsters us for when things do go upside down. The main thing that I want to talk to you about today is because I don't think that we've actually really ever talked about this. I know we've talked about the products and what they do and how amazing they are and how they support our dogs, but where did the idea of Pet Matrix come from?
That's a great question. It all revolves around maybe 8 years ago when myself, Summer, and Tanisha came together, and we were basically running a biotech company for this amazing CSO, Chief Science Officer. We basically blew his company out of the water. He was doing $500,000 in sales, and we took him to 24 million in under 2 years. And through that time, we developed an amazing relationship with him, and it really got me to an understanding and an intimacy with the technology, because that's really where everything kind of comes into play with what makes us different. The Pet Matrix difference. You can get curcumin from anybody. People are so impressed and amazed that we can work with BPC 157, an amazing peptide, and nobody else can. And that's because of the technology. There's literally a handful of labs around the world who can actually perform and do what we do, and there's nobody in the pet industry doing it. And so we were driving this company and having our own problems with our pit bull Vizsla mix. We got her when she was rescued her when she was 9 months old. A good Samaritan picked her up on the streets in Chula Vista as a puppy at about 6 to 7 months. They took her to a shelter. It turned out to be a high kill shelter. A shelter up in Orange County heard about her, came down, grabbed her, took her up, and lo and behold, you got a rescue. We love them, but we got to love all their problems as well. Mm-hmm. And so you name it, she had it. And something clicked with Summer one day, and Bay was going through one of her fits. Her pads were constantly swollen and red and chafing, and she's biting it. Her skin is inflamed, and her eyes are red, and her jawline, everything's like what you could think is bad with this dog is bad with her, but she's the most loving, amazing dog in the world, right? They all are to us. And she goes, I'm going to contact the biochemist and talk to him about how these supplements could work with our dog, Bay. And lo and behold, we start using the supplements, and she starts getting better really quick. And about 7 months after that, they came to us. They said, hey, we appreciate you doing everything with our company. We're revamping stuff, but we don't want to leave you kind of high and dry. We've built this relationship. How about we give you the technology? Use the technology for a pet supplement company because we know you love your dog and da-da-da and everything else. So we start going through formulations, and Pet Matrix is born. All the results that we're getting are great, but we wanted to be different in this industry of pet supplementation, which is so convoluted. It's muddy. There's so many people, and you talk about disinformation. These marketing machines, that's what they are. They're marketing machines. They're not dog supplement companies. They're marketing machines, and it just so happens that they're deciding to market a pet supplement, a dog supplement. So we're like, let's run a 50 dog focus group. First of all, having a peer group of 50 to run your own controlled case study is unheard of. So we decided we're going to do that. Tanisha is running all the protocols of intake and outtake. She knows how to do that. She was in the human nutrition space on a super, super high level. She's amazing. I know you know how amazing she is.
She is amazing.
She's so smart. It's ridiculous. As we're running through these groups, we knew what results were going to happen because we know the technology. So we're like, okay, this is great. We have Pet Matrix. We've got our product line, and let's go. And that's pretty much how it was born. We made sure that product efficacy and safety was there before we even came to market. We did it on our dogs. Then we did it on a 50-person focus group with dogs ranging in all ages, gender, breeds. It was not specific because we wanted a true baseline for how this was going to work out in the public eye. And then it was just get on the ground and start get it in people's hands and start listening to their feedback. And that's how Pet Matrix was born, really out of necessity and need for our own dogs.
That's so cool. That is really cool. The family element of it that you guys have going on, because Tanisha's your sister and Summer's your wife. You have this nice little core family thing going on, which is so awesome. And I love that you used your strengths as a team working together to build something that benefited other families. How cool is that? It's just, the whole thing is just so cool.
100%.
Pitbull Vizsla, oh my. As a vet tech, I have to say, what a combination there of dogs.
Well, I'll tell you, because I'm pretty sure you've seen a picture of her on online, right? So she has the body and the coat of a Hungarian hunting dog, the Vizsla, and she's got a female pitty head. Mm-hmm. She's got this strong head and this amazing, slender, streamlined body. She's awesome. Yeah,
She's a
Velcro
beautiful
dog.
dog. Of course she is. I mean, she's got the pity in her. And
Yeah.
oddly enough, Vizslas are pretty Velcro dogs too. So you kind of got a double whammy on the Velcro there.
Yeah, for sure. Today, a little windy here in Venice, Florida. She has PTSD from the wind because anytime there's a little wind outside or a little howl, she is typically under my desk or under Summer's desk in our office hanging out.
Do you give her the calm on windy days?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a
Yeah.
huge, huge difference. We're coming out with a new and improved calm.
That's
Yeah,
exciting. Do you want to
yeah.
talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, we can for sure. We're finding out that it works great, but when you have dogs that either have really high drive or have major anxiety or PTSD, you're starting to give them 5 or 6 sprays, which is fine, but you run through the thing too fast, right? So
Hmm.
we're actually doubling the compound volume, but keeping the price exactly the same. So your 66 sprays will last you longer because you're not going to need as much. And then we're actually going to be removing curcumin and adding in L-theanine to the spray. So if you have a high drive dog, whether you're training or doing bite work, you want to get them out of that drive so you can start avoiding the oxidative stress that's going to start setting in. And then if you have a dog that has a lot of anxiety from fireworks or wind or anything like that, a couple sprays will do you. And I know you've noticed it. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
I've got a real anxiety potato, and then I've got the high drive crazy dog. So calm has been a lifesaver for me some nights because I have a dog that is so high drive that sometimes he gets himself just so wound up that I cannot get him to calm down. And being able to put calm on a lick mat and see him put himself into a calm frame of mind has just been so amazing for him because he's the kind of dog that he lays down and then he gets up and then he paces and he circles and he pants and then he lays back down and then he gets back up. And I'm like, dude, go to sleep. And he
Yeah.
does when he has the calm. But if he doesn't, I'm like, I don't know what to do with you. And then we found you guys, and you guys really hit just so many things for us. Move, having a high drive dog and knowing that that's helping with that inflammation and those muscles and just keeping him strong and healthy when he is such an active dog. And then being able to wind him down with the calm is just a really powerful combination for him.
Yeah, especially when you're putting the move and the calm to take the drive down and battle the oxidative stress. That's massive for high drive dogs. And people really don't, even ambassadors that are ambassadors for a company that do bite work and behavioral training and things like that. A lot of them were very not really understanding of what oxidative stress is and what it's doing to your dog and how you can help support an anti-oxidative stress, state of mind for the dog. But with trainers, it is this kind of give and take. Because when they're going through trials or they're doing bite work or they're training for SWAT or the sheriff, you want that dog in drive. You want them in drive, but once you're done, you got to bring them down because if they stay in drive for too long, oxidative stress starts hitting, and now you're reducing the lifespan of the dog without even knowing it. It takes a lot to get to this understanding of the direct correlation between nutrition and behavior, the direct correlation between nutrition and longevity, and getting people to really bite on that. Like when we started Pet Matrix, our number one goal on all 3 of our lists, we said we have to educate. We lead with education. We are not a product company. We're a solution company. We're solving problems. How many pet supplement companies have only 4 products? And we've been in business 3 years. It's because we solve problems. We don't want a category or our catalog of products. And if you start really going through these other companies that have 100 products and more, there's so much duplicity and there's so much redundancy in their products. I can't even differentiate one from another, Oh, they took out one compound and they just added another. This is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And I think that we're going to, in this industry, hit a tipping point in the next 3 to 5 years from both a supplement space, an educational space, and a problematic space from what customers are, dog owners, I should say, are going to be trying to solve problems that they contributed to by over supplementing their dogs without even realizing it. Because at the end of the day, a handful of people are out there going to hurt dogs. I get that, right? Horrible means. But 99.9% of people who own dogs would love their dogs and do anything for them. So you start seeing this marketing, which those commercials, those dog ASPCU,
The ASPCA.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think that every supplement marketing company is, of course, they're pulling on your heartstrings.
Yes.
Oh, I don't want my dog to limp like that and walk like, oh, you say to buy that, great, I'm going to buy that. Oh, you too, I'm going to buy this. And all of a sudden, you're giving your dog 7 to 8 supplements and you're doing more harm than good. So we're on a mission, really, to educate people on the type of supplementation and using supplementation for what it really is there for. It's a support. It's to fill in gaps. You can never supplement your dog to health. I hope everybody hears that. Okay.
Say it again.
Yeah, you cannot supplement your dog to health. You have to start with an amazing foundation, and that is their diet, and then build on that. What aren't they getting? How can you support what they're not? And you know what? The beautiful thing about dogs is that even if you have rescues, you know the breed or breeds that they're coming from, right? They have tendencies. You kind of know what your dog is going to have as a problem in their future. So you start supplementing against that now. And educating people. With supplementation, you don't want to always just look for those immediate results because typically supplementation cannot handle acute type of trauma. Pet Matrix can because we bypass digestion, we go directly to the cell. So you start seeing these very, very quick results and people are blown away. They're like, wait a minute. I've been using something for 8 months, 9 months, and it's not worked. It hasn't worked, and now yours works in 2 weeks. Yeah, that's the CMD. So really, we're educating and we're building a foundation for pet owners to be able to use us as a resource of not just buying product. I'm not interested in pushing a product to you. I'm really not. Now, if I have something that I know is going to help you, then I'm going to tell you about it because I'd be robbing you of information if I didn't. But there are times where we will recommend, like we don't have probiotics. And there's a reason. We don't think we need to solve that problem right now. There are high quality, I prefer SBO probiotics versus other. There are high quality ones out there and I refer people over to it for sure. We're more interested in the health of your dog than selling you.
And that's two things that I love about you guys is that you are not product pushers and you're not just mass producing things and trying to get things on shelves, and you're trying to make partnerships with other brands, you're trying to make partnerships with veterinarians, you're trying to make partnerships with police departments, all kinds of things, and you really, really are trying to help dogs. But the other thing is, which is the most important part to me, is the education piece, because that is why I started this podcast, because there's so much different misinformation, miseducation, basic hand me down, this is what we've done for years on nutrition for dogs. And the last 3 years for me have literally been learning about nutrition, trying to find a diet that supports each of my dogs individually. My dogs don't eat the same thing. The only thing that is the same that I give my dogs is their Pet Matrix, and they don't even get the same amounts because they're different sizes. I did an interview with another company that was a nutrition company, and he basically said the same thing you did about the marketing and how this is all just tapping into your feelings and how they market a certain diet to make you feel a certain way about the diet, but they don't really explain the ingredients. And apparently AFCO has now passed a law about changing the labels on dog food bags that should be released sometime within the next 3 to 5 years. That'll put into action, which is going to change a lot of things, right? Because people are actually going to understand what's in their dog food, what's in their dog supplements, and be able to look at the label and go, oh, okay, this is a Coke can. This is my dog food. Maybe I'm a little bit uncomfortable now about what's in the dog food because they didn't have to do those things before. And all of the byproducts, somebody will send me a picture of a label and I'll be like, oh, I'm at PetSmart and I found this for anal glands. Would you take a look at the label and tell me what you think? Immediately no, because you're at PetSmart. But second of all, yes, I'll look at the label. So I always take a look, and there's all these fillers, there's all these chemicals, and it's a capsule or it's something. And I'm like, do you understand that every time you give your dog something that its body has to break down like this, you are shaving months, days, years off of your dog's life? This was something that I did not know until recently. I didn't know until Tanisha. I pass this information along constantly because what you guys have is so unique. And being able to literally see the difference in my dog within a couple of weeks was astounding to me. I was just completely dumbfounded by the fact that my dog was running around acting like a little puppy again and that he wasn't having his pancreatic flare ups anymore. And I was like, for sure, this has just got to be something that's, but no, here we are. By the time this episode releases, we'll have been in a relationship with you guys for almost 2 years. And that is huge because that's a commitment to my dogs. That's a commitment to a product. But that's also me telling everyone out there, this is something that I stand by, and I will not tell anybody to go anywhere else because you will see the results and you will see a difference and it will help your dog. And I think that it's so unique that you guys have really started to turn the tables because I said in another episode the same thing about nutrition. This is a generational change. You guys are making a huge change in a market that's been the same since 1956. When dog food was created in 1956, most of those big brand kibbles that are out there have been made the exact same way with the exact same process with the exact same ingredients. And our dogs are living because it's sufficient. It gets them through nutritionally. But if you actually look at what it takes to provide for your dog what they actually need, what they actually would still eat if they were considered wild dogs, it's vastly different than a dry kibble product that we're pulling off of shelves for $60 a bag.
It's funny you say that because the bags of kibble are not nutrient sufficient for our dogs. What they are is calorie sufficient for our dogs. And there's a big difference. Calories do not equal nutrition. Calories equal energy. Our dog's metabolic rate is 7 to 10 times faster than humans. So from the moment that they're born, they have this expiration. Things can affect that expiration like disease, infection, things like that. But if you just take the lifespan of a dog, now we're the ones who are actually bringing down their lifespan. The kibble debate just comes down to nutrition versus calories. And so what's happening is the dog's getting enough energy to perform as a dog, as you want your dog to perform. Some dogs are just a companion. Others are working dogs, hunting dogs, whatever you have them for. They fit your lifestyle. And so now what people are realizing is that you need to give them the proper nutritional benefits. As we start catching up with our own health, we're now just starting to see raw oats just started becoming popular and feeding a different way just maybe a few years ago where people really started grabbing onto it. And that'll continue to grow. People will start to become more label readers. But the problem really stems from the educational system of vets, from what the vets end up pushing because that's what they get paid to push. I will say this, please, for the audience. I love DVMs. I love good DVMs. And I tell you, you go to your vet. We tell people all the time, you got a problem with your dog? Don't ask me. I am not a vet. Okay? Go to your vet and have your dog analyzed. Now, based on what I know, I would suggest using Protect. But what I want you to do is I want you to print out our product sheet. I want you to take it to your vet and say, I'm thinking of giving this supplement. Are you okay with the ingredients? And that relationship, I think, is very important for people to have. And I don't think it should be dismantled. But I think that there needs to be a lot more good vets out there who are standing up for the nutrition and the benefit of the dogs instead of just, pushing, I'm not even going to name the brands, but we all know who they are. Okay, they're kibble. They say it's the best and give it because your dog's post-surgery, so give them this kibble. Are you out of your mind?
Yeah, I learned some fun facts about those upper echelon brands. Let me put that in air quotes. The upper echelon brands that are highly recommended by vets and how much carbohydrates are actually in your dog's food and how bad carbohydrates are for your dog. My mind was blown. I could not believe it. I was like, okay, well, I was done with those brands before, but now I'm really done with those brands. But to prove your point, I was a vet tech for 10 years and I stood behind those brands and those brands came in and they educated us and they would bring us lunch and they would tell us all about their product and their programs that they have in Switzerland with the dogs and the centers and they're adoptable and all of the things. It seemed great, seemed wonderful. But then you get down to it and you learn more about the product and the breakdown of the product and how it's cooked and how your dog's body is actually not processing it and then the size of their poops, all of these things. But then that just takes you right back to the education piece because nobody is putting this on the internet. And while I agree with you completely about going to your vet and talking to your vet about these things, I also highly recommend that you find a dietary specialist, whether it's a DVM canine nutritionist or a certified canine nutritionist, which is something that I'm looking into doing now because I've become so passionate about it. I want to be just like Tanisha. I want to follow in her footsteps. I've become so passionate about this. This is something that I need to be able to say, hey, I'm actually certified in this. We can have this conversation for real. Veterinarians go to school for a 4-year period of time post grad. They learn how to do a lot of things. They do continuing education for a lot of things. You go to your regular doctor for annual checkups. But if you break your foot, like I didn't go to my regular doctor for that. If you tear a muscle or if you have some kind of orthopedic issue, you go to see a specialist. If you have stomach and gut issues, you go to see a specialist. Find a specialist for your dog. Don't just go to your regular vet for those things. And unfortunately, there's only a small percentage of them that are not on the payroll for those big brands of kibbles. So they are far and few in between, but it does seem to be something that's becoming quite popular. And more people do want to be part of this movement and part of this education piece. So go out and find a canine nutritionist. Find somebody that can help you with this. Find somebody that can help you with the diet. Find somebody that can help you understand more about the ingredients in the supplement that you're giving. Because if you're not giving Pet Matrix, there's a lot of stuff that you're not going to know what it is without Googling it. Granted, there's some stuff in Pet Matrix products that I still have to Google or message to Denisha and be like, what is this and what does it do? And she will tell you because that's her job, literally, is to help you understand it. And that's a service that you guys provide that a lot of these other brands that are out there don't provide. So many of the big ones, and I'll just name one just because right off the top of my head is Woofs. We tried Woofs before we came to you guys, before I met Tanisha, and it didn't do anything
Why would
for my
it?
dog.
Why would it? Have you seen, I mean, the ingredients on it, what is this supposed to be doing? Basically, it's a chew, right? It's not Wolf's product. It's a white label company. They're going and they're getting a manufacturer to produce what they produce. There's nothing special about it. They're a marketing machine. And the ingredients in Woofs, I guarantee, if you've been using Woofs for more than a year and you use it every day, I would definitely go to have your dog checked out for hepatotoxicity and get their blood levels checked. Because I'll tell you what, their liver is working overtime. Because typically, and I don't want to bash on kibble too much because everybody has different
Oh
needs
yeah,
and
no budgets and
wants.
all that stuff.
Yeah, and so what you want to do is you want to supercharge your kibble as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Again, find a supplementation that works for you. Fill in the gaps that you know is going to be specific to your dog breed. It's not difficult to figure that out. You probably already know off the top of your head. It's just making you think a little bit different. My German Shepherd is going to have problems with hip dysplasia as they get older, rear hip hindquarter problem, and whatever else. Okay, great. So you should start supplementing for that type of preventative. So try and get organic as much as possible. Worry about the bioavailability of things because that is what will hurt your dog's liver and hurt their blood if it's not bioavailable and you're just jamming it down their throat. So I'm just wondering how long they're going to be able to sustain this marketing surge and how deep their pockets are. Because when we were talking earlier about making mistakes with social media marketing and those types of things, when you make those mistakes as a small business, that's dollars.
That's bottom line.
Yeah, that's bottom line. And at the end of the day, what keeps us in business is dollars. That comes through sales, of course. So what we went through in about a 9-month period, we literally lost over 6 figures as a company through social media, through ads, through management, through everything else. It was a disaster. And our company wasn't growing until we took hold of everything. The three of us sat down. We said, okay, this is it. We can't do this anymore. The ambassador program was born. And we said, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to keep our social presence, but we're going to do it. Our customer service, we're going to do it. We're not going to outsource anything. Okay, we're going to do it so we understand who we are as a business and what we. And you can only do that by being intertwined with every part of your business. It was extremely important for us to really take hold of every piece of our business in order to get to where we are today. I want to make sure that everyone understands that there's a place for every diet that you have. It doesn't matter what your budget is, find the best kibble for the budget and then try and get some type of supplementation. If you have questions, hit us up on email. We'd be more than happy to answer questions for you, walk you through some basics, and work within your budget at the end of the day, because we get dogs to fulfill our needs,
I
right?
do.
At the end of the day, we feel so much better and we get so much more out of it than really what we can even think of. But we have to fill those needs within our budget, within our life. Be very choosy, be very picky about the dog that you bring into your life. It's an important
Yes.
decision. Don't be so fleeting with it. How many dogs are getting returned back to the shelter? Try to not to make such an emotional decision by getting the dog. Make an intellectual, mature decision that you're going to be able to take care of that dog, because these dogs, they rely on us for everything, for life itself. I think people need to take that a little more responsibly. I'm sure your audience, the people listening to this podcast, are the ones who care about that stuff. Hopefully, as your audience grows, maybe someone hearing this, like, hey, these guys
Yeah.
really do care about our dogs, and we do.
No, and that's a huge topic on this podcast is doing your research, whether it's your supplements or it's your dog food or it's your veterinarian and how to interview a veterinarian or a pet sitter. Those are the conversations that we have on this podcast so that people can feel informed, because again, you can Google whatever and you're going to get 15 different answers and you're still not going to know what to do. The whole point of this podcast is to be here to say, okay, look, you just heard this whole conversation between Emily and Will. And now you know what Will knows, and you know what Emily knows, and you know what they share in common. And you know that they both think you should make an informed decision when you pick a breed of dog. You should make an informed decision when you pick a food and a supplement. Now I have questions, and I might feel bad about what I'm feeding or what I previously used for treats or supplements or whatever, but I can go and I can talk to Will and Emily and not feel bad about it, because they didn't know either at one point. And that's the whole point. I don't want people to feel judged. I want people to learn. I want people to understand that they can come here and they can ask whatever they want and think it could be the stupidest, most innocent, dumb question that's actually going to turn on some light bulbs for them, because that's what I did. I asked a lot of questions, and then I started recording those conversations because I thought, gee, if I had been able to find this information somewhere else before, how much easier would that year that I spent Googling things have been? It would have been a lot easier.
Yeah. And
because it's just not there.
one of the big problems that you're talking about when you Google and you get all these different answers. Well, what's before you get to all those answers? All those sponsored ads. So the answers are way below everyone paying the money to get your eyes. So you start looking, you're like, well, these guys probably got an answer for me. And of course, you go on to it and you're like, oh, yeah, I can relate. That's my dog. They pulled on my heartstrings and I'm getting that, right? So, yeah, you're looking at all these big marketing companies before you get to the real information. And even when you get to there, it's hard to really filter that information or decipher through that information of what it really is. And so what we talk about at Pet Matrix is that we like to partner with our people. We don't look at people as just customers. We look at it and go, hey, we're a partner because you're trusting us with your dog's health. This is very serious. Okay, great. So let's talk about this. Let's make sure that you feel informed and that we're making a good purchase and that we're going to then help your dog down the road. And like you said, you're going to continue to see results. If you see results now, you're going to continue to see results with Pet Matrix. And that's because of the Cell Matrix delivery. And that has everything to do with bioavailability.
Which is a huge thing. Which, if do you want to define it again? I'm sure everybody who's listened to this episode has probably listened to the previous two, but I like to talk about bioavailability. It was a huge light bulb moment for me. So let's just talk about it for a second, because it's so important.
Yeah. Bioavailability is the rate at which something can be absorbed in its simplest terms. So you're going to use bioavailability to measure efficacy, to measure dosing amounts and things like that. So for instance, I'm sure this is probably what most people have heard. Oh, I take 5,000 IUDs of vitamin D. Well, okay, vitamin D is one of the only vitamins that's a lipid. Okay, it means it's not water soluble. So the bioavailability of it is extremely low. It's not that you need 5,000 IUDs of vitamin D. It's that they know that only about 5 to 10% of it is going to be absorbed. Okay, the bioavailability is extremely low. So they say, we need this amount. So in order to do that, you're going to take this much. So If you have, let's say, 100% of something and 10% of it can be absorbed, what happens to the other 90%? It has to be broken down. For a human, it would take a lot of supplementation because our liver is really built to last, built to survive. Dogs are built to perform. It doesn't matter the size of the dog. These dogs, man, they're amazing specimens. They'll do stuff and they're driven and they want to be a dog. Tanisha talks about it a lot, is unlocking a dog's genetic potential. We really like to do that and talk about that. All that stems from the bioavailability. So when you have a dog that has to now break down that 90% or 95% of waste, whether it's fillers, like you said, carbohydrates, excipients, all these different kinds of things, you're really overstressing the amount of hepatic enzymes that have to be released from the dog's liver. And so if too much of that within their blood, and that's very easy to do, you're then going to put your dog at risk of hepatotoxicity, which is a toxicity within the blood. And that can lead to all other types of issues. There's a saying that we use, we didn't coin the saying, it's a Latin phrase called quantum satis, and it's used in the pharmaceutical space because it means the amount that is just enough. It's important in the pharmaceutical space because prescriptions, drugs, can cause havoc on internal organs for humans. So if you ever look on your prescription, you'll see a little QS on it, quantum satis. They're giving you just the right amount that'll have you get the maximum amount of efficacy with the least amount of side effects and damage. That's what they're looking to do. So you can only do that when you're making something extremely bioavailable. Let's say you took curcumin today in a turmeric form, a pill. Curcumin is only bioavailable. Curcuminoids are bioavailable at like 2%, 5% maybe. And so you have to take a lot of it. But the big problem with that is that your results are not measurable because the absorption of it will vary from day to day, from time of day that you take it, your state that you're in. Are you resting? Are you moving? All those different things affect the bioavailability. So solving that problem, we, through CMD, make curcumin bioavailable. Through our process, change the polarity of it, of that lipid, which is a non-polar charged compound. We change it to a polar charged compound so it gets directly into the bloodstream. So what this allows us to do is bypass digestion, so the dog doesn't have to release any of these enzymes. It gets directly into the bloodstream, goes directly to the cell, and now we can deal in micrograms in some cases, the amount that is just enough. What's going to get the job done? They don't need any more than that. And the only way you solve that problem is by solving the bioavailability issue of hydrophobic compounds. We make them hydrophilic. It's pretty cool, man.
It is fascinating.
It's crazy. I'm a nerd. I got into the lab a lot. I continue to work with the biochemists in the lab a lot. They kind of gave me a little nickname and like the citizen scientist running around asking all the questions, getting the answers, asking more questions, getting this kind of perturbed look back at me like, how do you know that? Why are you asking that question? Well, it makes sense. Once something clicks for you, it really kind of takes you down this road. I'm curious, now I want to be a certified canine nutritionist.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. The bioavailability, the rate at which something can be absorbed, and it's everything. When you're talking about supplementation, the bioavailability of something or the lack thereof is everything, especially when it comes to your dog's health.
Yeah, because dogs' bodies are not built the same way our bodies are built, and they don't have the same things that we do, which was something I learned recently. I believe it's amylase in our mouth that helps us start to break something down, and dogs didn't have that until
it's an enzyme. We produce that and the dogs don't. And so they talk about when does the digestive process start. Some people go back to it's a thought, because the moment you start thinking about eating something, all of a sudden your mouth starts to water. If you're hungry, saliva starts going, oh, guess what? Digestion started. Now it didn't start digesting, but the process goes. Understanding the different mechanisms of the digestive process, the different propulsions and where it can get to, it was extremely important in our science. If I can talk about this for just 2 seconds.
Yeah, go for it.
For your audience that's listening, whenever you see an ad come out in regards to supplementation or dog food and they talk about the science of it, let me explain something to you. They're not talking about their science of anything. They're talking about the science that was done way before them. Just because I stand on the shoulders of people who are 7 feet tall doesn't make me tall. I'm still 5'6". So just because all these people, this amazing work to find out that the efficacy of quercetin in dogs, of curcumin, of safety of BPC 157 with dogs, just because somebody did that, that's not my science that I can tout. So for me to say that my product is scientifically proven because I used an ingredient from somebody else, I find it mildly insulting because it's propaganda. It's deceitful marketing. We have real science behind our product. Our science is a cell matrix delivery. We consider to be the most important function within supplements to your dog. And that's the delivery of the supplement to your dog. I just wanted to say that because I don't think people realize it.
They don't. They don't.
Yeah.
I didn't. And that's the thing. I was a vet tech for a really long time. When I was a vet tech, they were still demonizing raw diet. That will make your dog feral. That will make your dog attack you. That will make your dog aggressive. That was what they were teaching when I was a vet tech. And now they're like, wait, what? That's how natural world things. That's not, the dog should be ready to process all of those things because that's how the dog's built. So it's just wild to me how much of a gap there is between the two and how easily people can get lost in it because there is little to no information, and the information that's out there is so skewed that it's hard to keep up with it. So we just keep putting out episodes like this where we're explaining, hey, this is where you can start. If you have questions, we can put you on the right path to getting your dog into a better position because we want our dogs to live longer. We want our dogs to not have as much waste. We don't want them to process things so hard. We want them to eat diets that are good for them at an effective cost, and we want to provide those supplements for them so that they can live to be 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years.
20. Let's get into the 20s. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Our Bay Girl, she's 12. If she goes any sooner than 20, I'm going to be really upset about it based on nothing external, things that you really can't help, whether that's disease or whether that's, some type of bacterial infection that ends up going crazy, which is very prevalent in dogs. I'm pushing the envelope as far as I can. The reason we feed raw is for the nutrient absorption and not having to overwork their liver. That's why we do. Because if you go outside of that and you start looking at the other diets, even if it's slightly cooked, they still have to work for that. And then you go down to kibble. That's extra work on their body. And like you said earlier, you're just taking a week off, a month off, taking 3 months off of their life without even realizing it. Again, because I believe the dog owners or even pet owners are really aware of and really wanting what's best for their animal. And we're here to support that on all levels.
Yeah. And again, that's why I love you guys so much because you really do support that. You guys are always there to answer the questions and you're always there to give the information. And obviously we have 2 educational episodes out and we're going to have a 3rd one come out. I just want people to realize how supportive we are of you guys. So I want you guys to keep popping up in the roster because I want people to know about Pet Matrix and how much it benefits our pets and how much it benefits our lives because it benefits our pets. And you guys are just doing incredible things. And I cannot wait until I can get this show on the road and I can come and see your place where you make the Pet Matrix. And I can then bother all of your scientists with my questions. I think it'll be so fantastic. I'm so looking forward to that. I will ask you the question that I ask everybody before we wrap up. What would you like to leave the listeners with?
Oh, what would I like to leave the listeners with? Look at your dog and ask yourself, are you doing what's best by them? And if the answer is no, don't beat yourself up. Start looking for answers. The wonderful thing about dogs is they're just extremely resilient and they'll continue to push forward and always want to please. Get the information, get educated on it, do the research, and don't fall for the marketing ploys. Dig in because that dog is going to give you everything they have for the short life that they do have. The amount of what they require from us is so little at the end of the day. I guess I would leave with that. I don't want to give a shameless plug for Pet Matrix, but my goodness, I'm telling you right now, biased, call me whatever you want. It doesn't matter. I know we have the best supplements in the world. If your dog has an issue, we'll help you. and we'll get you results. We know what we're here for, and we're here for the long haul. And our ambassador program is getting ready to get a new recharge. We're actually going to be blowing it out again here in the next month, looking for new ambassadors, a new ambassador call. Our goal is to have between 300 to 400 ambassadors by the end of the year. That's the hill we're wanting to stand on, with the people we're willing to stand on the hill with and die on, is the people who are in the game every day. We don't want to dump a lot of money into social marketing. We want to be on the ground with you and your dog and in love and life. And, that comes from a healthy dog.
Absolutely. That's phenomenal. And if you have questions, you can reach out to Will. You can reach out to Tanisha, and you can reach out to me. So thank you, Will, so much for being here. And we will see you guys next week on Straight Up Dog Talk.
Today's episode is proudly sponsored and brought to you by our good friends over at Pet Matrix Premium Canine Supplements. Straight Up Dog Talk is so excited to be partnered with Pet Matrix and jump into their family. After exhausting several other pet supplement brands, I am getting the support and results I have been searching for both Toby and Fitz. Pet Matrix supports all 3 pillars of canine wellness using their Cell Matrix delivery. It delivers nutrition directly into the cell. If you're looking for a supplement that pairs with nature and science, look no further and get your dog on Pet Matrix today. This stuff works, period.